Hello and welcome. This is going to be the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining. And today we've started out with a little bit of a meditative channeled message. I hope that you enjoy. I'll just go ahead and read through this, give you my observations, and I'll give you a quick peek at my notes in case you want to screenshot and check those out and further meditate on those insights your own way and method. And then if we have some time, I'd like to pull a few oracle cards and so on. So let's get started. So today, all of these messages are intended as timeless. So if you get this and the date is not 100% correct, you could still get quite a bit of insight from these issues as they're ongoing issues. So Saturn retrograde also talking to me today. During my earlier meditation, there was some information about use of sexual energy and however that hits your own personal situation, whether it's your own journey compared to others or your judgments of what is right and not right versus perhaps even for some things that you would like to express and haven't, or vice versa. So we start out the channeled message. I was hearing here to there, here to there. And in this moment, I'm realizing that I recently read a book by Dean Koontz. I think it was called By the Light of the Moon. And one of the characters, the main characters, was autistic or something like that on the spectrum. And he gained this new power and was trying to express something. And he kept saying here to there, here to there. And it was in that situation a way that he was able to begin to see the matrix, if you will, of time and space and pinch it and move through a portal to a different time, a different space, or a different place. So this may be something symbolically that you are able to apply to this message. So from what I was thinking during this meditation, the here to there in this context I was feeling was more to do with the place where we're at now, where we find ourselves versus where we would like to be, where we aspire to end up, whether this is you engaging with the energies of wanting to develop your career, develop a relationship, or moving into retirement age, or moving from a rental to a home or something along that. It's this feeling of the difference from one shore to another and how we transition from here to there. And is it as simple as pulling a timeline down and just saying, yep, I want this? Well, of course, if it was that simple, we'd all be doing it. But when we understand how to work appropriately, both with our alchemy and with our shadow integration, with our light body that's wanting to come online in greater ways, coming through the whole ascension process, the awakening into our full capacity as conscious beings, if we can even actualize that fully in this life. So the other messages I was hearing was bask in the sun, but as in like the child, the sun, S-O-N, and I have / the masculine and the sun's ability to receive. Then I wrote feedback loop, feeling enough, feeling worthy, which generally people will associate the sense of worth to do with the feminine ability to feel that fullness, that sacral sense of self-worth and connectivity in one's life, the water element. But here it's coming through as many of us will understand that the patriarchy and all of the stereotypical ways that we view the toxic masculine's influence tells us that we have to keep going, keep pushing, keep doing. If we haven't done it, we just need to yank up our bootstraps and keep on striving and pushing. And this can come across as like you've never done enough, you never have earned your break, and many of us have already embraced this lesson to a certain extent. And I believe that it continues to come to us when we're learning about the limitations of our earthly self, our body, and that comes up a little bit down here. So we were talking recently at this time. Today's July 3rd of 2024. I just saw 555. And it's a time of change. It certainly is. This is the year of the dragon. It's an 8-year, talking about that infinity loop, that figure 8. It talks about patterns that can loop and repeat. And so I have down here, we just had one Capricorn full moon at the end of June. We're having our Cancer new moon where the sun and the moon are together in Cancer. And then we have another full moon in Capricorn to follow later in July. And Cancer and Capricorn are often talking about the intuitive way that we create our own sense of family and belonging and emotional connection versus the family of origin, and having all of those influences kind of juxtaposed or in contrast to our feelings of that being in the outer world, developing the ego, the reputation, the validation. Have we done enough? Have we earned enough? Have we achieved enough in our life? And the balance is good. Neither is better or worse than the other. The two happen in opposition to each other because they're two sides of one coin. I'm just getting the image right now of how when I film this, everything is reversed because of me filming on my phone. It's like things appear one way, but then you can flip the photo and everything looks different. So then I have written below that the autopilot that we sometimes fall into when we are brought up on one type of family dynamic, one type of coping mechanism because of the people, places, and things that we witnessed in the mirror oppositional to ourselves. Like, oh, if this person's nasty, then I just have to be nicer. Or if this person's nasty, I need to be equally nasty. Is it seriously going to rain on me and my tarot cards? Just a moment here. I'm just going to pull this in and see if we can tuck under the umbrella. It's not supposed to rain today. The weatherman's always wrong in Michigan. All right, so being in that autopilot mode, we can get into different situations where we think that one way of operation is the true and right way, and we can fall into recreating patterns that we understand are in error, and to then, let me readjust my umbrella. Pause for just a moment, folks. All right, we're going to see if I can get wet or not. So we can get into this autopilot of accidental recreation of what we don't want versus becoming that cardinal sign that wants to, oh boy, it's coming down. Pause again, folks. All right, well, I got just a little wet. I have found a spot that's a little less than ideal, but hopefully you can deal with the random lightening and darkening of my silhouette. I am not the focus of the message anyways. So where we left off was taking from autopilot into the driver's seat and how it's a cardinal sign. Both Cancer and Capricorn are cardinal signs, meaning that they are initiators, the beginners, and the leaders of the water and the earth in these cases. And with cardinal, I was thinking of the cardinal bird being significant to some, also significant to others with religion, dogma, things of that nature, and different patriarchal issues that follow dogmatic religion. Many are that way, and it's not the religion that has been created in a negative vibration. It's the practitioners that have had situations that I'm seeing 1212 on the clock here, not on the counter. It's the individuals that have perhaps been somewhat broken, misunderstood, or mistreated, and have become toxic for one reason or another. Generally, there are others that are channels of things that are even more evil. However, those aren't the scope of what we're generally dealing with. It's basically people trying their best most of the time. And even if they're not trying their best, they think that they are. So then those dogmatic things and the synchronicities that can come up to bring our attention to things. And from that point, it's almost talking about how, I just saw 1111 on the counter, that ancestral lineage that we have been born into in this realm here, and also our astral connectivity, and then the way that the resolution that we are here to provide as these individuals that are here to clear the karma of the ancestral line or the collective waters. And I wrote resolution instead of resolution, and dissolution instead of dissolution. Dissolution, although right now I'm saying it and I can't unhear disillusion. And so we're here to break karma, the chains and the threads that connect us through karma instead of through healing. We are not compatible with the old Saturnian vibrations and old Neptunian vibrations, and having them both hit that retrograde phase at the same time. And I brought up yesterday that Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Pisces, which is where Neptune generally rules traditionally. And so there's this resolution, and we are even switching things up. I wrote down here next, rinse and repeat, like chores, anything we should be doing, our loyalties and our obligations, even those things that we have, like a loyalty to our passions, to our hobbies, and our calling. When we are not in a balanced space of appreciating the flow of things, and when we're kind of kinked up energetically or caught up in ties that bind us, then even fun things can become obligations, and they can chase the fun out of things. So in addition to bask in the sun with that masculine feedback loop, being able to understand when we've done enough, when we've accomplished enough, and how to have a sense of healthy self-pride, and giving ourselves the permission to express fully and authentically and unapologetically when we're just being the beautiful, chaotic, dynamic essences and energies that we are. So in addition to that, I then was hearing embrace the mother. And then I have / the sacred womb is the co-creative space. We have now the opportunity to detox the holy waters. And I wrote whole as like that play on words, like the emptiness that some of us have been conditioned to perceive. Instead of the fullness of the gratitude in the now, we start to perceive everything that's wrong. And this is something, it's a survival mechanism. And so those of us who have had some level of CPTSD or so on, traumas or challenges in our lives that have been difficult to overcome, there's this shame that can sometimes underpin some of our sabotaging behaviors, because there are holes there that we're trying to figure out how to gain some type of fulfillment there, to be nurtured. And so there comes up some shame, like the worthiness of the praise and nurturance and support and love here. And it gives us issues with our origin story. I'll just leave that one there for you to ponder. If that belongs to you, you'll understand it. And if not, just leave that for somebody who needs to hear that message. So that rinse and repeat here, we're encountering the divine limitations of the body, of resources, of our energy, of the chi that we have available to put towards anything, such as having fun, passions, or sharing, service work for others, self-care for self. These are the things that become limited, but they're limited by generally the self and the environment. So the self would be the sun. And for those that are in the I guess in my neck of the woods, there's a lot of people that follow the Jesus story. We'll just leave that at that. But I believe that the story, taken on a metaphorical level, is like we are the sons and daughters of the divine. And so this is talking about basking in who we are in the sun, and then embracing our origin story, saying that we come from troubled times. We come from dynamism and chaos, and that is also divine. We don't need to be ashamed of the things that we've done, of the things that have created us and made us stand up and to be different and to be counted. They have activated this sacred calling, this purpose, and this niche that calls us. And so these origins, I'm hearing my cat pawing at the door right now. That's why I'm giggling. So with those limitations, it's like, how do we gain the restorative energy, that reciprocal exchange with our environment, the support of others? There's a difference between the hierarchical belief that we need to climb and ascend constantly and do, go, be, with this ability to synergize and flow with our environment and with others in more of a symbiotic manner, meaning for those that are looking for more there, that symbiotic flow that I'm talking about is how, let's say I really need some service done at my house, but I don't have money, so I can't pay a so-called professional. But maybe one of my associates or somebody else in my community has that skill and needs something that I could provide. And so I could say, for instance, would anybody be willing to barter or exchange services? Or, if you do this for me, come over and help me with this thing, then maybe I'll cook you a meal or something. You'll have to fill in the blanks with that one. But there's this ability to see beyond the surface limitations of our circumstance, to say, I do have enough for everything that I need. And when I feel taxed and that I'm under the gun, that the time is of the essence, that's the time where it's almost essential to take a moment to step back outside of the moment, to be transpersonal about it. It's not about this one moment in 99.9% of the situations that arise. It's, yes, choosing the right thing, but sometimes the right thing is to take a moment and just breathe and just say, this moment is just another moment to be grateful for. So that's how we can kind of work with things as they are in the now. Let me just cancel a call. I should have put on Do Not Disturb. It's just some spammy thing anyways. So this brings us to the next point: stored memories in the body, the mind, and the spirit to release, so to speak. These are going to oftentimes require additional downtime in some manner in order to process and in order to integrate that into, to transmute it and alchemize it into new wisdom. This creates redirection quite often. And the less attached we are to where we think we should be and going and doing, the more that we can listen to the flow and say, well, I know I was going to go out and do errands today, but I really do have enough groceries today, and I really could use just some time to do something else. So yeah, I always remember TEA, tea time is time, energy, and attention. I'm seeing 12:22 on the clock there. So it's the way that we plug into things that then replenishes. It's the way that we work with the environment, with the divine, with Mother Earth, and the way that we give ourselves permission to do that right thing in the moment. And then this brings us to, and I wanted to talk more about stored memories in the body, but I'm not going to necessarily have a lot of time to talk about it. But suffice it to say that whenever there's some kind of dysregulated thought perspective or a trauma that we still are looking at and dealing with, that comes back up for our awareness to look at, this is stored in the body, mind, spirit in some way. And there's something that it wants to teach us, but it also restricts us from new experiences until we've kind of surpassed that level. And so here we come to control complex. Control is complex, but it can be a psychological complex as well. And so many of us, especially when Saturn turns retrograde, even if we don't identify as being somebody who really wants control, think about how often we want to balance our life. We want to balance our nutrition. And so we control what we indulge in and what we don't. And we want to have proper borders to our property, to our home and our belongings. And then these things are others being respectful with our time, our energy, our attention, and are we being that integrous person with their time, energy, and attention? Are we respecting those that we feel are below us in some way? And are we not falsely exalting those that we think are above us? Are we integrating ourselves as being worthy and equal and symbiotic with our environment and those that surround? Because control is complex. It can be elusive. It is an illusion. We have control over very little. We have limited control, which is interesting. So that's another limitation that we have. And getting out of our comfort zone will show us very quickly. And a conversation I was having with my boyfriend this morning was talking about how he's in a place, since our relationship has come to pass, where he's really sitting with his discomfort. Do you see these chickens? There. Anyways, where he's actually sitting with his discomfort. He's facing down those things that would have pushed him to self-isolate or self-protect in some ways. So these issues can be coming up with the individuals or the situations that are arising, showing us other people's complexes, reflecting upon how that tells us a story about where we're at, where we've been, where we're going. So yes, self-expectations as well, and how we need to let ourselves somewhat off the hook sometimes, where we think that we should do something being related more to those origin stories, the shame of needing to be better than what was done and given to us or supported us, so over supporting others in lack of support of self at one's expense, coming up for clearing, and that sense of having done enough and self-worth and healthy self-ego and self-pride. writing this down as the prodigal sons and daughters trying to escape the origin story, but only finding oneself in that feedback loop, that figure 8, that infinity symbol, coming back to the same lessons far away from home, because we remain entangled with what has touched us deeply, and what is stored memory in the body continues to resonate and teach us. So instead of disowning or dissociating from these, if we can create sacred space for self, and perhaps even be by some sacred water to work through these issues, we can clear some of that from our stored memories. I also wrote Fool's Journey. The journey of the tarot cards tell that every lesson that needs to be integrated before one can really complete the cycle and fully level up. And that's going to bring us full circle if I can get through my notes. So there's this quest for abundance, filling the holes in our story, being able to sit with the truth with a capital T, that, perhaps we didn't deserve the things that came through us and to us, but they have helped us to co-create our journey and ourself. So being able to sit with that truth helps us to identify the looping path, like those traffic circles, like in there's this movie where the dad gets stuck in this traffic circle for so long, and are we able to discern which exit is right for us? These circles can become loops that are that keep us going, or spirals that help us ascend out of a pattern. So it can take time. We can orbit things, and just like the solar system itself is now seen to not only be static, but also being on an arm of the Milky Way, and the Milky Way being on the arm of something else more big, and the cosmic level, the macro level, and that ultimately we're all going in a spiral propelled through space. There's the cat again. And so that spiral is bringing us back to these things with repetition and patterns that are indeed changing. Every situation is evolved and changed, and sometimes they can seem better or worse, but this is bringing us further into our conscious awareness for self and others, and it's awakening the sacred blueprint within our alchemical selves, and it's helping us to understand how to alter reality and shape shift our destiny based on the things that we choose to express and the things that we choose to shift and change. So to change and shift the collective is almost, in a way, I was being shown that it's a defacing some kind of artistry that spirit is creating, the dynamic beauty of chaos and the activating alchemy that is there for us all to bump up against, to create the necessary friction that continues to propel us upward and outward and out of our spirals, out of our comfort zone, kicking us in the seat of the pants to get us up and out. And if we can kind of come back home with a capital H to source, to our origin story, to the source of the pain, to the moment of the injury, perhaps, we can see the source of our old expectations and where that kind of pings that sense of longing, lack, scarcity, poverty, whatever it might be, unsupport. The chaos is dynamic and creative fuel that restores our faith. So be the change in our own life, in our own day, one stepping stone at a time kind of comes up then. Moving into then flipping the page out before I switch. Oh, you're not going to be able to see all that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it enough to read it as you need. And then flipping the page, that takes us into identity and self-expression, the way that we wear many hats. We can sometimes get lost in being chameleons as empaths and completing others and helping their process. And that does help us learn, but it's time to take the mic and to stand on some type of truth with a capital T, to whether it's through our silence, through our appearance and the way that we self-express through our many hats, or the changing of our clothes, the changing of our approaches and the use of our time, energy, and attention, the way that we do or don't indulge or take the invitation to argue with others. Those are all ways that we can express our vibration through the choices that we make in the now moments. And just like changing clothes, this changes the face of our dynamic and the way that we show up in the world. So this is the deepening of the surface level engagement with our environment. And I was seeing this as something yesterday, diving deep into the secret cavern. Is it solitude and independence? Or is it community and belonging? Self-care or isolation? Sharing or depletion? It's the urge to align, to ground, and become authentic, and balancing our truth, boundaries, and integrity. I apologize, I'm running out of time. I didn't count for the rain. We need to have the right tools for the job, yes, but we need to be engaged in the right job for the tools that we provide and bring to the table, and to be willing and able to be that flowing, grounded, our sword of truth dug deeply into the ground, and the torch that we are, rising and reaching high into the cosmos and the heavens. This is how we really flow with the cosmic collective tree of life, being the ocean in a drop, healing the family legacy, the family tree, and seeking out our soul family. It's our creative inputs are healing the sacred waters, that detoxing of the feminine waters. We are conduits of light, holy waters flowing. The wholeness of our vessel, which contains and holds space, gives us the courage to speak and express the joy and dynamism beyond suffering or lack, despite pain and attachments, to truly live, to live stream life force energy now. And that's what it is all about, folks. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Do consider, please, liking, sharing, subscribing, checking out some of the other content, and help us to grow the channel. So I know it's not for everybody, but there's something for everyone. Thank you so much, and take care.